Angelea. What if winning your dream changed your life only to have it taken away because of what you survived?
Like, this really happened. I won. They took it from me.
This is exactly what happened to Angelea Preston, winner of America's Next Top Model, and then loser of the title before the episode even aired. But why would a TV show invest so much time and resources into filming an episode only not to air it? Well, this was because producers learned about her past involvement, a history that she described as being connected to survival and exploitation.
That people also need to understand the difference between being trafficked and sex work, because what happened to me was being trafficked.
And so suddenly, this success story, this triumph story, turns to controversy. Welcome to Want More with Dr. Moore, the criminologist of the Bay. My name is Dr. Talia Moore, and I'm your host. Let's get into it. Millions of viewers believe the competition was about talent, transformation, perseverance, right? Instead, it became a referendum of a survivor's story. The message was implicit but powerful. Some histories are not considered compatible with success. Was she disqualified for breaking the rule? Sure, yeah, I'm sure they had a rule against that, right? The show never publicly detailed a clear violation that justified revoking the win after filming the show concluded. So we as viewers were like, what happened to Angelea? Let Angelea be, right? And without any kind of conversation around it, but a very brief kind of murmur, and then the presentation of a new winner.
We can't air you as the winner.
It kind of left us as viewers a bit confused. So, reports indicated concerns about the reputational risk tied to her past. And so, this is where the show was able to, I guess, justify their actions here. But it raises a deeper question. Why is survival stigmatized more than the exploitation itself?
They acted like I committed first-degree murder, like I was just this terrible person. I was shunned.
We like to believe that society supports survivors of trafficking and exploitation. We see all these public campaigns encouraging people to be compassionate, be aware, be justice focused. But as soon as a survivor steps out and is visible, stigma often resurfaces. Instead of being seen as resilient, they're seen as liabilities.
Nobody called me. Urban, ghetto, whatever you want to call it. And they said they can't market that. And that scares clients.
Yeah. So Angelea Preston's experience reflected this contradiction on this national global stage of reality TV. Before the controversy, her narrative was exactly what reality TV celebrates, right? Started from the bottom, now you're here, right? She returned to the competition after an earlier season. She was determined to prove herself.
I was on America's Next Top Model, cycle 12, 14, and 17.
She spoke openly about her hardships, poverty, perseverance. Audiences rooting for her, executives were rooting for her. We were all rooting for her. She was good for TV. Well, until the possibility of her past becoming public and jeopardizing the show came to light. This, unfortunately, is an experience common to survivors of sexual exploitation. They are frequently faced with this layered trauma. Not only do they have to deal with the original trauma, right, whatever that was, and however deep it was and profound it was, but they also have to deal with the social trauma and stigma afterwards. Research shows that stigma can lead to isolation, employment barriers, mental health challenges, and really creates this reluctance to seek help. You know you're going to be judged for it. Why even bring it up, right? In many cases, survivors are treated as complicit in their own exploitation, and that just simply isn't the case. We see and we know that many human trafficking victims and survivors, their story starts with being sexually abused earlier in life by a family member or friend. And in their plight of dealing with the onset of this initial trauma, it often leads them into more detrimental circumstances, i.e., like being trafficked. And so instead of acknowledging the initial trauma and the subset poor decisions, poor experiences, poor outcomes that may be connected to it, we are so quick often to judge someone in that position instead of being able and open and accepting of what they have survived and acknowledging that, right? And so this idea here is really an example of secondary victimization. The harm continues long after the initial trauma occurred. And then we place it on the reality TV platform, which really just serves to amplify our cultural norms and put the limelight, if you will, on this young lady's story. When a major show removes a winner because of her survival story, it really is communicating a much broader social message. Your past can disqualify you from redemption. This mirrors real world patterns. Survivors of sexual exploitation often struggle to secure housing, employment, social acceptance due to even the possibility of criminal records associated to this stigma and the exploitation that they encountered. In effect, punishment is extended to those harmed more so than the actual perpetrators, solicitors, and the traffickers involved.
They acted like I committed first-degree murder, like I was just this terrible person. I was shunned.
And isn't that something? Kind of let that sit in. If public narratives frame survivors as controversial rather than courageous, fewer people will disclose their experiences. Silence really does protect exploiters. Visibility, on the other hand, protects future victims. Angelea Preston's case therefore raises a critical question. Who pays the price when survival stories are treated as scandals? So, why was her title truly revoked? Let's really look at it. Because her past conflicted with a public image the show wanted to maintain. Not because she lacked talent, not because she failed the competition, because in reality, she won. The lesson here, however, is not about reality TV. It is about how society decides who is allowed to move forward and who must remain defined by their trauma. Angelea Preston later spoke publicly about her experience, stating that she pursued legal action, really wanting to bring attention to the treatment of survivors in media industries. What does her story do? It really forces us to confront this uncomfortable truth. Surviving exploitation should never disqualify someone from success. If anything, it should really deepen our respect for what they have overcome. I'm going to leave it there and let you marinate on that. Thank you for tuning in to Want More with Dr. Moore, the criminologist of the Bay. Be sure to comment, like, share, and subscribe. And remember to educate, empower, and enact the changes you want to see. Want more.
Want more with Dr. Moore, the criminologist of the Bay? Follow us on Facebook at Want More, Instagram at Want More Dr. Moore, and on TikTok at Want More with Dr. Moore for more information. Be sure to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, educate, empower, and enact the changes you want to see. Want more.